Welcome to the weird and wacky world of Hero to Zero, the only show that travels the globe in search of life's greatest heroes and ultimate zeros. Forget royalty, TV stars, the rich and famous and the like. Hero to Zero brings you the real-life stories of everyday people that go all the way to the top, take a dive and throw it all away, or just totally lose the plot. On today's show, we meet a man who has made best friends with a very unlikely animal, a 5-metre crocodile. We're not sure what's weirder, the fact that the croc is his best friend, or the fact that it hasn't tried to eat him yet. We head over to Germany for another foray into the not quite so fast but very furious world of lawnmower racing. And meet the man who has revolutionised the art world, the mysterious street artist known only as Banksy. You won't believe how much some people will pay for a bit of graffiti.
Well, essentially, Banksy's a very important artist. He's one of the forerunners of the movement, if you like.
Plus, later in the show, we head to Germany again to check out the dirtiest football game ever, perform the ancient art of levitation over the White House, and it's chucks away as a real-life superhero proves a man really can fly.
We did a lot of preparation. I got a perfect team behind, and now I crossed the whole channel. So this is history, and I'm really happy at the moment.
So grab your spray can, give it a shake, as we head to the bizarre art world of London, England. Now it's time for a trip into the art world. It's still a relatively young art form, but street art has very quickly gone from urban menace to high society in just under 20 years. We may not know much about art here at Hero to Zero, but we know that's pretty weird. And pretty weird just about sums this up. Street art, something that's always around but rarely wanted, is now being auctioned off for ridiculously high prices. Stencil graffiti, paintings and photography of urban New York City are all set to be sold for thousands of dollars each.
Essentially, it's a sale of urban art, as the name suggests. And it involves a lot of young artists who originally started off with their works on the street. People saw them, people recognised them, they were very accessible and iconic works. And a market is formed for them, and since then people have been buying them. And the incredible phenomenon about urban art is the fact that it's now got a huge celebrity following, and the prices have skyrocketed in the last few years.
Some of the most coveted pieces are works by the Bristol-born graffiti artist known as Banksy. This artist's tongue-in-cheek approach to art and painting in highly politicised areas has made him a favourite among celebrities and the general public. Banksy started out as just another teenage graffiti artist in his hometown of Bristol, using spray cans and whatever he could find and wherever people could see. Eager to stay one step ahead of the cops, he got faster and more adept when he switched to using stencils to display his various anti-war messages. But now his works have appeared in a very different place, a place where he probably would never have expected to see them: an auction.
Well, essentially, Banksy's a very important artist. He's one of the forerunners of the movement, if you like, and he's inspired a lot of other artists to work in urban art. And in many ways, you could argue he's been important in creating the market.
Banksy's Laugh Now stencil painting of a monkey wearing a sign reading "Laugh Now, but one day we'll be in charge" is expected to fetch over 200,000 British pounds. That's an awful lot for a stencil painting, or any artwork for that matter. The fact that many celebrities are now buying this art, coupled with the extensive media coverage, has made the urban art movement much more popular than it ever would have been. Collectors like Angelina Jolie and Christina Aguilera only make the prices go higher.
As I always say to anyone, you buy what you want on the wall. So at the moment, obviously, street art or urban art, as it's being sort of coined in the last 6 months, is obviously relating to our culture a lot more than more traditional pieces will, hence why there is such a take-up in this market.
So whether he meant to or not, Banksy has certainly been a big part in making street art very popular. We'd ask him ourselves, but he's a bit of a recluse. In fact, he refuses to give up his identity, so no one really knows who he is. As we mentioned, we aren't exactly art gurus here at Hero to Zero, but we really like some of the stuff Banksy has done. He's like a real superhero. He does good and no one knows who he is. For all his cool art, bringing attention to this awesome art form and making a ton of money in the process, Banksy is a superhero of the art anyway. As for zeros here, apart from all the ones on the price tags, we have to say that while some of the art is pretty good, we think that anybody who would spend more than £200,000 on some graffiti is a zero for sure. Now, I wonder how much we can get for one of these. Now it's time to head back to India, where there's always a bizarre story to report on. This time it's a very strange way of having a pedicure. A pedicure performed by fish. But Indians aren't the first to discover that fish are rather good beauty therapists. This very odd method of pedicuring originated in Turkey and has now become very popular in China, Japan and Singapore. So what is it? Well, patients dip their hands or feet in a tub of warm water and numerous small fish nibble away at dead skin, leaving their hands and feet shiny and smooth and stinking of fish. In contrast to a regular pedicure or manicure, one with fish offers a unique, ticklish and lively experience for those who indulge in it.
And the pedicure is not a very enjoyable experience, the normal pedicure. We wanted to make it much more enjoyable and for fun-loving people, we thought they should, when they come here, they should enjoy and have a good experience. So we wanted to give them a lively experience. And through fish pedicure, we are able to give them that.
The idea behind the fish bar was to find a replacement for the harsh scrubbers used for pedicures and manicures. Someone came up with the idea of using fish, we don't know how, and it went from there. The fish are called Gararufa, or doctor fish, and they nibble away at the dead skin. The fish leave the skin alone though, they have no teeth so can't bite it off. Even though the treatment is fairly new, not to mention weird, the practice has caused quite a stir and is becoming quite popular in the city. For first-timers it may be a little scary, but they soon realise it's nothing to be afraid of.
Generally, pedicure or manicure is done manually, but this is completely different. They do it via fishes, and the fishes do it for you. Initially, it's a bit scary. For me, it was because I was really shivering and all that. But otherwise, once you keep doing it like twice, you try, it's okay. You get a sucking feeling, and it's really very funny. It's a very nice feeling, and I like before and all, I used to come regularly for this normal manicure, pedicure. Now I keep coming in for this because it's different and it's like an entertainment. You see these fishes doing it, and it's a good feeling.
The fish don't do it alone though. After 20 or so minutes in the tank, customers get a regular pedicure afterwards that's made easier by the fish's hard work. But who are the heroes and zeros of this fishy tale? Of course, we've got to give it to the fish. Any animal, be it fish, beast or man, that can live on a diet of only cheesy feet and toe jam is a hero in our opinion. Hang in there, little guys. And the zero? It has to be Rahim, for throwing those fishes into slavery, not even feeding them properly, and having terrible taste in shirts. Everyone knows dog is man's best friend, but what about crocodiles? Sure, they aren't exactly the friendliest of creatures, and they're kind of ugly, and they smell pretty bad. Oh, and they eat people. But apart from that, they'd make a great pet, right? Anyway, that's what this guy is out to prove. Gilberto Graham is from Costa Rica, and amazingly, he has made friends with this massive 5-meter crocodile. In the port city of Limon, he holds a show every Sunday known as Cheeto's Show, after his nickname, where he cavorts with a massive beast and gives commands that amazingly the croc follows. It started 5 years ago when Graham found the croc wounded by a bullet. He claims that he cured and fed him, and then little by little, they got to know each other. That said, this guy really must be out of his mind, playing with this massive croc in the way that he does. He even puts his head in its mouth. All it would take is for the croc to go snap, and it would be all over for Gilberto Graham and instant zero status. So what does the Zerometer think of this courageous croc tamer? Well, it had a hard time deciding. Due to how stupidly dangerous this all is, it could easily have swung down to 0. But in the end, it deemed Graham to be a true hero. Anyone who rescues a sick croc and nurses it back to health and then becomes the best of friends with it definitely deserves the big thumbs up from us. Coming up on the show, the messiest football game you'll ever see. A man who claims to be able to levitate, and one crazy Austrian skydives across the English Channel. Plus, Germans open up the throttle on the meanest mowers in town. And we reveal our ultimate heroes and zeros. Now we head over to Germany, where we've been told they hold the world's dirtiest football championship. And they don't mean dirty as in tripping or cheating, they mean it in a very literal sense. These Germans are holding their own very messy World Cup championship. Sixteen teams came together in the North German town of Brunsbüttel to battle it out on the mudflats. Though anyone expecting quick passes or footballing elegance will be very disappointed. Passing is a challenge and dribbling is pretty much impossible here. The players have enough trouble moving themselves around the pitch, let alone the ball. By halfway through the game though, it didn't even look like a football match. It was more like watching a bunch of idiots play in the mud. Very little scoring was going on and the players just seemed more interested in playing around in the cold wet mud. The World Mud Football Championship certainly draws in a large crowd, but are they heroes or zeros? Everyone who participated is certainly a hero in our opinion. Anyone putting up with playing football in cold, wet mud to raise some money for cancer research is definitely worthy of that title. As for the zeros, it's everyone in the crowd for not wanting to join in. As well as these two, you aren't nearly dirty enough. Join in, what's the harm in getting muddy? It is for charity, after all. Sorry, but it's a 0 for you lot. Here's something you don't see at the White House every day, or anywhere every day for that matter. Yes, it's a street performer who appears to be floating in mid-air. Budenjik goes by the stage name Ramana and says he trained in India at the Academy of Magical Sciences. He says he creates the illusions by harnessing the forces of gravity. Which is true if by harnessing the forces of gravity, he really means sitting on a horizontal bar hidden under his butt. That's right, Mr. Magical Floating Guy. We're onto you. We know how you're doing it. You can't fool us. We may not be graduates of the Academy of Magical Sciences, but we're smart enough to know that gravity doesn't work like you claim it does. Sorry, buddy. It's 0 for you. We're all wimps here at the Hero to Zero office. You could never get us to jump out of a plane 9 kilometers off the ground. Well, that's exactly what this guy is doing. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's it's Felix Baumgartner, a man who is about to skydive across the channel between England and France, free falling at 200 kilometers an hour. Of course, you couldn't normally do this, but as you can see, Felix has a pair of specially made wings to help him glide across the channel to France. The special wings have a wingspan of 1.8 meters and are made of the same special lightweight carbon composite used in Formula One racing cars. freestyle-style god of the skies, started parachuting as a teenager before taking up the extreme sport of base jumping. Setting off early in the morning to avoid commercial flights, Baumgartner used oxygen supplies during the 35-kilometre, 22-mile flight to survive the rarefied air. Since Felix has been at it since a teenager, jumping from such ridiculous heights is nothing new to him. But he's never made a jump quite like this one. He has already set world records for the highest and lowest parachute dives with daredevil jumps from the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur and the Statue of Christ in Rio de Janeiro. But if you ask us, this guy is completely out of his mind. The rest of Felix's team estimated that he would hit a top speed of around 200 kilometers an hour in the fall, which took about 10 minutes, a long time to be falling if you ask us. In contrast, Louis Blériot took 37 minutes to make his groundbreaking flight across the Channel in 1909, and Matthew Webb took 22 hours to swim it for the first time in 1875. Felix glided 35 kilometres through the air across the Channel and successfully landed in the hills above Calais 10 minutes later.
Well, I'm really happy at the moment because the last couple of years we did a lot of preparation. I got a perfect team behind, and now I crossed the whole Channel. So this is history, and I'm really happy at the moment.
We'd be pretty pleased with ourselves too if we did a jump like that and lived to tell the tale. It's not often you get to free fall across the Channel, so enjoy it while you can. So Felix, not only for having the courage to do what none of us here at Hero to Zero could, but for pulling it off with such style, you are truly worthy of the title of hero. Still to come, the Germans get down and dirty with their lawnmower equivalent of the F1 Championship. And we crack out the old zerometer for the final wrap-up. The world of motorsports is a very serious business. Budgets run into the millions, and every year there are hundreds of crashes that leave participants badly injured and sometimes even dead. But that's not the case here. That's right, it's lawnmower racing. It's just as fun as Formula One racing, but without the cost, and thankfully nowhere near as dangerous. Which is just as well, as these racers take their sport very seriously. This is Stade, Germany. Germans love the sport of lawnmower racing almost as much as they enjoy their gardening. This is Germany's annual championship race, and loads of people have come to watch. Look how packed the stands are. The German track is one of the toughest circuits in the world and includes hills, mud holes and extremely tight corners. Not to mention sections of the track which are so narrow that only a few mowers can fit through at a time. Racers certainly needed to keep their wits about them on the 300-metre track if they were to have any hope of winning. Competing in different categories, drivers had to race over 40 laps throughout the day to find the overall champion. And just as in the real thing, every lawnmower driver had a team of mechanics to fine-tune their grass-trimming racing machines. Championship organiser and driver Friedhelm Maybaum says the sport has come a long way since it was originally conceived.
The idea was conceived over a few drinks. The first races took place on a club level. By now it has become very professional. This is the 6th championship.
Lawnmower racing has become a very serious business since it started, and competitions are now held all over Europe, the USA and Australia. This meeting in Stade attracted visitors from all over Germany and even some from the Netherlands. At the end of the day, a truck driver from Bremen named Rainer Gottier was crowned champion. And for going through such a grueling long race and seeing it through to the end, he is truly the hero of this story. As for the Zeros, everyone who competed but gave up halfway gets a big thumb down from us. As for these Zeros who got bogged in the last leg of the race, maybe you should stick to mowing the lawn at home. In this episode, we've seen some pretty weird characters. But now comes the time when we have to get the Zero-ometer out and see who's the biggest hero and the ultimate Zero. As usual, we have too many heroes to point out just one, so we've narrowed the list down to the top 3. First up, we have the participants of the world's dirtiest football match, putting up with the harshest footballing conditions to earn money for charity. That's the kind of thing we like to see. Second, we have animal lover Gilberto Graham, a man who found a sick croc and despite how ugly and smelly it was, gave it a helping hand and nursed it back to health. Now he and the croc are the best of friends. So for that and the fact that he's such an eccentric guy, he gets the thumbs up from us. And finally we have Felix Baumgartner, Austria's bravest man. You'd never catch any of us here at the Hero to Zero office jumping out of a plane at 9,000 meters. But we are cowards, so what do you expect? Felix, however, flew across the English Channel using only the wings on his back, and we reckon that's pretty cool. But alas, the laws of balance dictate that for every hero, there is a Zero, and here are the best or worst from this episode. This time it was a tie. We just couldn't decide who was the worst, so we chose these two. First, it's the poor fools who bought Banksy's monkey stencil painting. It's a cool stencil, yeah, but would you pay over 200,000 British pounds for one? No? Didn't think so. And anyone who does, in our opinion, is a massive Zero. And the other Zero is, of course, the levitating man in Washington, D.C. Do we really even need to explain this? He claims he studied this at the prestigious Academy of Magical Sciences to learn this mystical ability. Yeah, the mystical ability of sitting on a bar hidden up under your butt. Good one, man. You just earned yourself a Zero. The wide, wide world is full of so many heroes and Zeros, like the chocolate-eating air hostess that won a flight into space, the man who's grown the world's longest tash, and the tall man that prefers small cars. And don't forget those Venezuelan base jumpers or the world's fastest pasta eaters. Meet these and many more like them on Hero to Zero.